Hello, friends. Good morning. Once again, I am back. I am Dr. Lakshmi. Today, as I drove on National Highway 44 in India, I just thought of discussing very briefly about one small topic in mental health, and that is rapport building. This topic has been bothering and is in my mind since a long time. So, today I just thought of discussing it. Uh, I will try to discuss this topic in two dimensions. One, what is the importance of rapport building in mental health, and the other one is how this rapport building can be done. The aim of this presentation is usually for the beginners in psychiatry and clinical psychology, so that they can understand the importance and they can try to use this information along with their theoretical knowledge, so that they can definitely excel in their clinical expertise. Uh, First of all, the importance of rapport building in mental health. See, as such, and as I see it, in mental health, we usually deal with conditions which are emotionally driven. I mean, disorders of emotional nature. And they are quite different from medical conditions. Like in medical conditions, people are having very, dignified and a very distinguished presentation, and which is highly socially acceptable also. In mental health area, of course, the presentation is not always that clear. That is one, and two, these conditions have their underpinning at the unconscious or subconscious level of their development of their life. So when I see it, I mean, these overt manifestation have their relation in the various traumatic events that the person might have gone through, maybe at childhood, maybe in current life, which are very much personal to him. So such experiences, such events which are very personal to him, the person may find it very reluctant to deal with any unknown person, that is clinician, because he has met this clinician for just once. I mean, it's the first time that he's meeting with a clinician. So that patient might feel very awkward also to discuss that particular thing that is very much personal to him. So until unless the clinician provides him that atmosphere of ease, atmosphere of comfort, atmosphere of say acceptance, then only the client will be able to uh, coming out of his shell and is able to discuss all those events or all that has happened in his past life, so that the clinician can understand the client very broadly and very deeply, and then he can develop a very appropriate therapeutic plan which will be helpful for the clinician, I mean the patient as well. And for that, the client has to, I mean the clinician has to provide him an atmosphere. So that is the importance of this particular rapport building. If you can't, and if you don't make a strike a rapport with your client, client will may not able to disclose all the information or all the experiences that he or she might have gone through in his past life, which might be precipitating or which might be perpetuating his current manifestation or psychopathology. And then you may not able to treat him, although you may able to help him, but that too in a superficial manner. Like you may able to choose any neuromolecule that may help him symptomatically. That is fine, that can be done. But to completely heal the patient has to overcome the particular trauma that he might have undergone in his past life. And when I say this, I'm talking about mostly medical condition, barring few medical condition. Mostly medical conditions are having emotional bias as their causal factor. So uh, there lies the importance to develop a holistic plan. We have to strike a rapport with the client, so that client will able to discuss very openly, very confidently, uh, very satisfactory also, with regard to the traumatic event that he might have occurred in his life, and that might be the basis of his disturbed emotion, and that might be the basis of his overt manifestation in terms of psychopathology. Now, people often ask that how this rapport can be striked, how the rapport can be built. See, usually it's not very structured also, and it cannot be structured also, because I see it rapport building as an art. Like it's a skill that you acquire through your, through your training, of course, and through your experience. Textbook can guide you, like what might be the essential features of a rapport building, But how it can be done, it depends upon your own personality, it depends upon on your own knowledge, own temperament, how much observant you are. Use the information that is available with the client. Like the first information that has come, that is coming to you whenever the client enters to your chamber, or whenever the client visits you, like social demographic variables in relation to the client, age, sex, marital status, like the city from which he is coming, like the social settings, like rural, urban, etc., like the religion, like the caste, uh, education. So what I mean is what I mean here is, we have at least this much of information with regard to the client. We can use any of that information to strike a conversation. For example, if the client is coming from a rural background, then we must know something about agriculture. We can strike a conversation using that particular component as a initiating point. Like the client is from a particular religion, then if we know something about that religion, then we can strike a conversation by discussing anything pertaining to that particular religion. See, if the client is having some particular technical or educational background, then if we are having from knowledge from that particular technical background, then we can strike the conversation by using that particular information from that particular education field. So, even if that is not done, so we can discuss things about like today's climate. We can discuss things about whatever the client is wearing, like the attire of the client, maybe the color of the nail polish, maybe the spectacles that he is wearing, maybe the watch that is on his or her wrist. I mean, the color of the clothes. I mean, it depends upon the clinician observant eyes, that what he can see, and maintaining a professional boundary, he can use that information to strike a conversation. The whole idea here is to make the client at ease, at comfort, at a friendly zone, so that the things can move forward, the discussion can move forward. And later on, as the information is coming from the client's mouth, you can use that information as well to build up a long building. And when you are able to make a long building, definitely things will definitely be, they will get melt. And then you will come to know at a point of time what actually client has undergone, that is behind the emotional expression or the overt psychopathological manifestation that you are seeing right now. Because we are not here to deal the overt manifestation, we are here to deal the source of that particular overt manifestation. Once you deal with the particular source, the overt manifestation, which is superficial in nature, it will automatically vanish, it will automatically go away. So this is how we can strike a rapport. It is very simple also, but it is very difficult also, because usually client challenges, because client is unknown to us, so the challenge is to make a friendship with them. So now this is our training, this is our clinical equipment, that we can use the available information that is there with us, and how we can better use that information. See, in my practice, I usually use information which is as basic as like the hobbies of the client, the name of the client, like the place from which he is coming, like whatever he has eaten in the morning. I just ask him, and based on that particular answer, I try to build up that particular, a particular building on that. And if the client is forthcoming, then it is very much helpful for us and for me also. But even if the client is not forthcoming, try to give the client a time. Don't rush for rapport building. Take your own time, take few sessions, take some number of hours, because this is very important. It's the first step in the improvement. So when it is done very carefully, things will smoothly move on from there on. So my advice for all the beginners is that don't rush away for rapport building, and don't rush away to diagnose a client, don't rush away to formulate a plan, instantly. Usually we make these errors. We try to assume that we have understood our client instantly, and we just try to move forward. That can be done in a few cases, but I don't think in emotional disturbances this is very easy to thing to do, and this is right thing to do also. So I always advocate to give time for a client to make to become friendly with you, to become at ease with you, to come at a comfort level with you. So when I say comfort level, friendly, ease, I essentially also mean that we have to maintain our professional boundaries. So this is a very delicate yet important issue. So that's why I thought of discussing this topic right now, because I am seeing a lot of confusion is there with regard to rapport building, and we often ignore this in our day-to-day clinical practice, which is very much important, I think, for the particular outcome of any intervention. So I thought of this thing this way. So that's why I presented this my views on today's discussion. If you want to add on to it, please do add on in my channel's comment section. And these things are based on my own clinical understanding for the last 12 years or so. And you may disagree with it, or you may like to reframe it. So please do that and try to see things from or your own experience also, so that we can collectively build a common understanding and that is helpful for our clients. So, with this positive note, this is Dr. Lakshmi signing off right now. And until we meet again on some other presentation, other topic that bothers me, take care of yourself. Goodbye.